We're gonna discuss this, right?
You can, yeah, you can squidge you over a little bit if you want.
Who?
You can squidge you this way a little bit. if you
No, I'm
want.
sitting with Chris.
All right,
They're
so
in
why are we,
that section.
Waterway Board is, we're open. Yeah, we're open for business.
Yeah, it's a both in person and
Right, in person and,
Is there anybody-
let's see.
Can't see my head.
Might be kind of early to have everybody on. But John's supposed to be on. It might be
Right.
kind of early.
Well, 6 o'clock though.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 o'clock, it might be kind of early to pop in though.
Pop in when he pops in.
I don't see anybody right now. Oh, participants.
Yeah.
Attendees. Andrew Silva.
He was there for this morning, yesterday.
Yesterday one.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
he was there.
Andrew, can you hear us? All right.
John's there? Okay. I'm freezing.
So much.
turn it up a little bit, Chris.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, John Harvey just kicked out. Andrew, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, great, thanks. I push all the buttons, you never know what's gonna go on. I push all the buttons, okay. Oral communications,
This,
so you,
the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
Just want to address.
does everybody know Jim Bordenaro?
Very well.
Name and address.
Name and address, anyway.
Can you state your name and
James
address?
Bordenaro, 126 Wheeler Street, Gloucester, Mass. I just want to address having more no-wake buoys put out. The two longest stretches that I know of on the Annisquam from the railroad bridge to the turn, go under the A-Pi at Andrew. Basically that straightaway. And the other is from the north end of Thurston Point to the end of Wheeler's Point. Between the railroad bridge and we'll call it Wolf Hill, it's at low tide, it's certainly one of the narrowest parts of the river. But the stretch from the north end of Thurston to the north end of Wheeler's Point is longer and wider. We currently have one mooring buoy, one no-wake buoy, which is not in the channel. It's between the mooring line and the shore across the river. So only very small boats go on the land side of the mooring lines. So those of us who are there on the river all the time, I think we could use one back where it was or close to where it was near Can 17.
Look into it.
And the other stretch is from the Cape Ann Marina to the bridge.
Yeah, but that, because you're going by Marina and then going, well, either way, you're going by Marina either way. But they don't pick up a lot of speed there, at least,
Really,
well,
And we have a billboard there.
they do full speed there,
well,
not pickup speed.
well, I can, if you want to be bored, I can show you videos that I have. But what I thought I'd do is, well, they're actually installing it, not that I thought of going to do it. We're gonna have a video camera and we're just trying to figure out whether we want to make it public or not. You know,
Video cameras are upstairs. 16 of them.
well, I'm just saying, all I'm asking for is more no-wake buoys. As we all know, the speed limit on the Annisquam River is 5 miles per hour. Headway speed.
Headway speed, no wake.
Right, well, if you read the state and the city's ordinance on it, basically, it's put it in gear, and as long as you got sturge, which is about 5. Grant you, there are days on the river, you might get current against you, wind against you. But 10 o'clock on a Saturday or a Sunday, or any vacation
Or
week,
this morning, I was gonna
Yeah.
text you and say, hey, get a video of that boat going up the river right now.
when the family is rushed to get to Wingashoot Beach and get a spot, there is no such thing as no wake or speed. And I get it. I understand why they're doing it, but they shouldn't. Also in the state regulations, within 100 or 150 feet of any dock is headway speed. Is it 150 or 100?
150.
Yeah, it's 150 feet. A jet ski can do 6 miles per hour by reg. A lobster boat, if he's fishing his traps, can do in excess of 5. I forget what the top is on that because I'm not a lobster. But that's only if he's fishing his traps, not if he's going up the river, you know, to anchor off and have a good day. So all I'm asking basically, and I didn't think you wanted to see, you know, 10 or 15 Wheeler Street residents in there tonight,
Not yet.
not yet. I said I'd gotta come up and speak.
Not for another month, Jim, all right?
Hey, we can call an emergency meeting if you want, if we can do anything, but
I think he's trying to get out of the fray, not
I
for
get it.
another month.
I get it. But I mean, that and enforcement, I really think that at the discretion, obviously, of the harbor masters, whether they issue a ticket or not. But at least if they give them a few, and if need be, pull them over, they say, you know.
They
Oh,
don't know.
no, I'm not questioning that they do it, but at the beginning of the season, if it's really tight.
Yeah.
I think the word spreads out a little bit.
We
That's all.
were, we were up there early this year. We were,
Oh, no,
actually
you both
started
have been out
patrols
there.
a week,
Yeah.
week ahead of time this year, so.
Yeah. So basically,
I'll look into getting a wake on the other side. We can't put it in the channel, it's not allowed, but
well,
just off the
the
channel.
old buoy,
Right at, right in front of your house at the
Yeah.
green can.
yeah,
Yeah, we moved it to the other side because of the chain and the new volcano moorings we're using, but we'll look and see if we can get one of the old blocks.
I mean, I don't know what a no wake buoy weighs, and I don't know what the drag is. Probably use a regular anchor almost. I mean, just to get through the season.
They have to be changed, actually,
Yeah.
it's the only thing that keeps them upright.
Okay, got it. The weight keeps it down to them. But that's all really, just. And by the way, when I say the enforcement end of it, the Gloucester PD and the Coast Guard aren't any better. Being an ex-coastie, we never got too much involved in speed unless they were like water skiing or something. So I'm not giving them a pass because they're my whole branch of the service. What I'm saying is they just don't do it, generally speaking. But the Gloucester PD, I really do think if a enforcement officer gives somebody this, they'll slow down, they'll throttle back. The Yannisquam River is 4.5 miles long. Basically, from the Lyman, the cut, out past the spindle, I believe it is where they cut off the measurement. Well, if it's 4.5 miles long and you can do 5 miles an hour, how long should it take you to go up the river?
More than an hour.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Not counting getting stopped by bridges, etc. You know, listen, I've gone up the river and, you know, I'll admit it, it probably took me 35 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the season, the time of year, etc. But that's all, just a couple of more no wake buoys wherever you can put them. And then some. That's all I have to say. Thank
Thanks,
you for your
Jim. I
time.
think the
Thanks,
early
Jim.
season, like hit it hard, just to get people down. I think it's not a bad idea. Or the element of surprise, like boats at different places on the river, so you're catching everybody that's going by.
Yeah, whatever way, the harbor master decides to do whatever you do, that's your discretion, of course. I'm just suggesting that a little bit more of it and some more no wake buoys. I honestly don't think that the general boating public knows that no wake,
Means
not only just 5 miles an hour, which most of them don't know that. it means you're not supposed to be breaking water at the stern the way you're not supposed to be throwing
Wrecks the
away.
clam flats.
Yeah.
It does, it wrecks the clam
In
flats.
Florida, if you break water on the bow, they stop you, period.
Beverly too.
I don't know. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
No, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you. So,
Any of the other attendees have anything for this portion? Somebody named Jim? Andrew, just listening?
I wouldn't
Come on.
mind.
And
No
my
way.
me. Call you later, bye-bye.
I wouldn't mind seeing a no-wake buoy from Cape Ann Marina. On the southern end of of Cape Ann Marina. There's one at the northern end, between Cape Ann Marina and the train bridge.
Yeah, and there's a
There's one
big,
there,
and there's a big billboard on the,
and that billboard faces the wrong way.
one of the problems, and you know, I don't tell you, that channel narrows up so much. I mean, it's gonna be a mud mooring on, if we put it on where the old landing used to be. And
You put it on that side.
Yeah.
Between the green buoy and the high school, you can put it on that side. That boat's not supposed to go on anyway.
Yeah.
So you can put it on that side,
They all go on that side.
huh?
Everyone cuts that green can.
And that's exactly why I like to see it there. But when you have the bridge tender telling people, if you hurry up, you can make this bridge. And they says it every single time the bridge is open. If you hurry up, you can make this bridge.
Conversation to the 3-minute allotted public speaking time.
Well, that's for him.
I know, but I think
That's for each individual.
we can, as a topic, because we have a lot to get through tonight, we can take this one up at another meeting. I live over there. I've been
I
saying
live at Cape Ann
this,
Marina.
I've been
at
saying this
that
for a
end.
long time, so thanks, Jim.
Can I ask one question?
Sure, Peter.
The issue, I've been stopped going through there, and the issue
Anyone
is, most of us don't have through the, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, most of us have over the ground speed indicators, not through the water. So if you're doing 5 knots over the ground into the current, or with the current behind you, going 10 knots, you know, when it's really strong, 6, 9 knots. I mean, most boats now don't carry, everybody's using GPS. Just a comment.
Wake is no
Still,
wake.
it's still the
No
no,
matter
it's
how
no
fast
wake
you're
is
going,
no
no
wake.
wake
The
is no
miles,
wake.
the
Well,
miles per
no,
hour.
but yeah,
Matter, so.
you can easily get into a situation where you're making no headway. And making no wake.
The river and speed on the river and following the rules on the river is an age-old problem. So I think the acting harbor master and Chris, who works in the office, have heard, right? We know what's going on out there, so it's up to you guys.
I just want to make a comment, that's all. I've been stopped, making just headway through them. But it's, anyway.
We're gonna have to ask you to leave the Waterways Board then.
Just since you're.
I'm only kidding, Peter.
That has certain benefits, yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Can everybody, any questions on, what do we do first, the vote? Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Make a motion to approve last month's minutes.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Oh, wait,
No, no.
roll
You
call.
have to do roll call.
Brian,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Phil,
Is John there? Phil, yes. Yes.
almost forgot you were there. You're being so quiet.
Wait a while.
Karen,
Yes.
John? He's muted. Peter,
Yes,
approve minutes,
yes.
John?
Yes.
Thanks, hon. Motion passed. We are gonna skip ahead to number 5, mud moorings, if that's okay with everybody. So we'll circle back to number 3 and number 4. Report from public facilities and report from finance, which isn't gonna happen. Steve's not here. Do you want to recap this
Sure.
issue?
It's an issue that was brought to me early on by Rebecca and several others that Mud moorings is something we issue to a property owner. By the way, this is Rebecca Bisnick. Anybody that doesn't know her, she's our new appointed chief constable for shellfish. She was appointed a week ago, I think, right?
Will there be an assistant?
Yes, we'll be working on the job description as we speak.
Anyway.
I don't think she'll stay if we don't. So.
Not a chance.
There is concern that mud moorings, any mud float now has to have stands that keep it off the mudded surface. And I'll let Rebecca, because she has more scientific background into this than I do. However, we're looking to, before we issue a mud mooring, run this through our shellfish division and through Conservation Commission to see if the area that this is going to be issued is going to be damaged in any way by issuing the mud mooring. The boats land in different spots every time, depending on the wind, and they can do damage in a great circumference of their mooring. So I'll let Rebecca.
You're learning so fast. It's great. Yeah, so just to reiterate what John said, there didn't seem to be any language with issuing mud moorings. It was just kind of like you own the intertidal, so you get a mooring. But we've had some recent questions with kind of how we vet those, because they do cause a lot of damage, especially in soft substrates. And so the boat itself, but also the gear swinging in circles, will create a huge scour in the mud, which will kind of make that whole circumference essentially dead to shellfish, because no seed clams, no baby clams will be able to settle there. And then in the surrounding area, it moves the sediment around, suspends fine particles in the water, which can cause sedimentation and change the turbidity of the water, so how cloudy the water is. So it would be nice to have a permitting process or an application process like there is for docks and piers, because those do come across my desk, but the mud moorings don't. So just make a process so that we can just evaluate the areas more appropriately, so that.
Are you proposing that the boats have some sort of stands on the roof?
I mean, in a dream world, yes, but that's not something we can achieve. So it's more about assessing each area specifically. So when people request docks or anything like that, I go do a site visit and look at what the substrate looks like and look at how it's gonna impact.
I thought we had some sort of regulation that the docks have some sort of stand.
The docks do, but it's
Yeah.
the mud
Yeah.
moorings
The problem right
specifically.
now is that you just say, hey, can I have a mud mooring? It's my property, and pretty much you get it.
Well, a number of months ago, maybe it was more than a year ago, we had a discussion, TJ drove it, was we were not gonna issue any new mud,
That's correct.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
the
not-
impression I was under as well.
that didn't happen, I
But
guess.
nothing was ever written down.
Oh.
Okay,
So
it needs to
language.
become part of,
We didn't go through the process.
needs to becomes part of your rules and regulations. And that's what we're asking,
Yeah,
that
that's what she
the
said.
Waterways Board take this up. And
No net new.
whether you have to have a public hearing, but we.
No, I think we're just reestablishing, trying to.
It
nail
did, I
things
have to
down.
say,
Yeah.
when we got one on the river, the then shellfish warden came out, conservation came out, everybody checked out the area, and it sort of stopped happening like that.
Yeah, I know we do it for sure for docks and piers, but for mud moorings.
So is the answer that we add language and an actual application,
There'd be a mooring application anyway, so
a mud mooring application?
it can just be marked mud mooring. When they,
But are those people applying for a mud mooring now actually filling out an application?
yeah, they are,
Okay,
yes.
so they
It just
know,
doesn't have
somebody
any-
knows they have
Yes,
to.
yes, it's
Right.
the same as a regular mooring. It's
So
just-
should
there's
there be a
checkoff box that
checkbox
says
on there that says mud
mud
mooring, or there is?
There is.
Okay,
Do you do any kind of review on the ones that are just kind of sat for years without being used?
I talked to TJ a lot about that in the past. And I know that when people rebuild a new dock, they're supposed to put it on the stands. But that often doesn't come across my desk, so it's hard to monitor. You know, with all the docks.
Yeah, because I've seen
who-
mud moorings like at the cove there and been used for years. I was
Yeah,
just
and a
wondering
lot of the
what the
floats
rule
too,
is
the
for
older
that.
floats
Yeah.
are
And
just
this
sitting.
wouldn't be something that we would go back and take away. This would be
Yeah.
something we would stop issuance on.
Okay.
So what in the actual, so in this section under mud moorings, what language needs to be in there so that people understand this is gonna be a process?
On the mud, I have never seen the mud mooring application, is there,
It's just a regular.
Just a regular mooring.
I've never seen mooring application, I do clamps, but for the docks applications. Or any like NOI that comes from conservation, there's a page where it's, you know, is it, you know, a floodplain, is it sensitive marsh habitat, is it the language is land containing shellfish? And when that box is checked, that's when the applications come to me. Sometimes that box isn't checked and it's still in land containing shellfish, because sometimes people don't, they're just like, it's mud, mud is mud. The new conservation agents are really great at looking at where the property is and saying, hey, this box isn't checked, but you still need to look at this. I think that's the piece of language that's missing from the mud mooring thing, is saying like, hey, these boats are sitting on land, do you wanna go evaluate that habitat to make sure it's not gonna be damaging?
And we didn't expect a vote tonight on this. This is,
Yeah.
we just brought this before you to get your consensus to come forward with language and.
Well, the problem is if we don't come up with something tonight, it's gonna be August before it gets enacted. Cause it has to go to public hearing.
Yeah. As far as I know, we only have one pending.
Okay. No, I know, but it's 30 days after the public hearing, so.
Right.
It's getting close there.
We don't have to issue any in the meantime.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let me ask one question, Rebecca. Are there certain areas where you're absolutely sure there will be no more mud moorings?
Little River is an area that's really sensitive to mud moorings. The substrate's really silty. Jones River and Cross Creek. Would be another area that's really sensitive to moorings. And then there's some spots in Mill River as well. But I know Mill River is already really tight with moorings.
Are there any in Cross Creek?
Not that I'm aware of, but with the development that keeps happening back there,
Sure.
it would be nice if there was language. To prevent. As we keep losing area. I would like to not do that anymore. I'd like to gain shellfish area back if I can, so.
Does it make sense to make that list and say, you know, there won't be any in these areas, no matter what?
I mean, I'm happy with that. My review for shellfish areas, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, is gonna say it's gonna be destructive to the habitat.
I mean, can you think of any areas of the Mill River where it would be like, yeah, that's okay?
No. I don't think so.
Make that list, I mean, so
Okay.
we know, and then the language here, I mean, do we need to say that every single application will be reviewed?
I think inherently with a mud mooring, because they will
Yeah.
inherently rest on the mud. Yes, would be my assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
yeah.
So then a change in the other language would just be all applications for mud moorings will be reviewed by Concom and Shellfish.
Right.
Okay,
That's good.
Perfect.
so do you want to vote on it?
Yeah, you can, yeah, yes.
So.
It's already been advertised, it's already.
Yep. The language would include areas deemed to be determined, areas deemed
Land containing
land
shellfish.
containing shellfish will never have mud moorings. And that all mud mooring applications will be reviewed by Shellfish and Conservation.
Sounds good to me, if that sounds good to you guys.
Sounds fair.
Works for me.
Do we have a motion to approve that language? Something like that.
Do we put harbor master in there also because it's in the office?
Good.
That's a good addition.
I'm
yeah.
gonna review that and go
No, I
back.
mean,
The
Yeah,
I mean,
language,
if you're talking
Hopefully it's
language,
your-
language is language.
Hopefully it's your application, but yeah, I think we should make it as explicitly clear as possible.
moorings will be positioned at the harbor master's discretion and will include review by Shellfish and Conservation. No additional mud mooring will be issued in shellfish
Land
contain,
containing shellfish.
land containing shellfish.
I so move.
Is there any land that doesn't
A second.
contain shellfish?
Not many places.
Any other
We're
discussion?
very lucky.
Motion passes. Oh, we don't have to do that. We have to vote.
No, I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Peter. Brian,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Phil,
Phil, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Karen, John,
No,
Peter,
Yes,
discussion.
I've spent close to 20 years dealing with orders of conditions on dredging projects and marine construction projects, where the orders of conditions and the regulations that got written bore no resemblance to reality. And this is another one of those. You gotta
Howard?
show me that that's actually damaging before I say yes.
I mean, you're welcome to come out in the mud with me.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, I've seen mud moorings and I've seen people digging clams right next to them.
Okay.
Part of this issue, John, is that the state is coming down really hard here.
I'm aware of that. I remember that, the whole thing about the Clean Shellfish Act from before this, earlier this year, and I felt like we made a mistake on that one too. We should have talked to an elected official about that.
You call a vote, someone made a motion, it got seconded. You can have a discussion after the vote.
Okay,
It passed.
It passed,
Yeah.
I mean. John certainly has this.
I'm new, everybody. If we have to do it over, we will.
No.
No, it was done right.
It passed.
Next.
Alright, next.
He can explain his no vote, I mean, that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
that's all right. Okay.
So it's just 8-1.
Motion passes 8-1.
Hel-
Come out,
hello?
come out.
Is there any public comment here?
Yeah, sure. No, there's gonna be a public hearing on it before. It's just a motion to go to public hearing, so it won't pass anything because it's a regulation change. So it does, our vote tonight does not change the regulation. It only forwards this to public hearing.
Or 10-1, no, 8-1.
Okay, if I can say a few words, I'm an owner on the river of the Mill River. And I would be in agreement with,
Can you state your name and your address, please?
my name is Jim Bagley and I live on 34 Vine Street.
Okay,
And I did hear one person who spoke in opposition to this motion that you're making, and I'm in
Yeah.
agreement with him. And as an owner in the property here, I know for myself, I've had a few questions with the harbor master's office about moving a mud mooring. How would this motion affect that?
so like I said, Jim, it doesn't,
Going through it,
our-
flying anyway.
our vote tonight doesn't do anything about changing the regulation because it will go to public hearing and then everybody will get to talk on it.
Okay, but in the meantime, right now, until this is decided, nothing is gonna happen with any of these moorings? If
That was
someone
already,
requests one
that was
like
already
myself?
happening.
Say
That was
again?
already happening.
Well, steps.
Okay,
Make
so
sure
my
it's not-
request at this moment to move a mooring won't
That's still to be
be
looked
addressed
at.
for
It'll
months at
still
this
be looked
point.
at, Jim. It'll still be looked at. John, the acting harbor master said they will look at it.
I've talked to Jim and I'm just waiting for the assistant harbor master that plots that area to look at his ask to change. It wouldn't be creating an additional mud mooring. He's just asking to relocate.
Okay, you're all
And
set.
that's what we looked at, Jim.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, I've been waiting a couple months now, so I didn't know how much longer I'd have to wait before the summer is over.
It's just a busy time of year trying to get everything done.
All right, well, thank you for letting me speak up here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the resolution is.
Does that mean
Thanks.
he can't use his microphone?
Huh?
Does that mean he cannot use the?
No, he can't. He
microphone?
has an existing-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for moving me up, guys.
Sure,
Yeah, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Meet you.
Rebecca.
Thank you.
I'll try to get back on.
We've all heard a lot about it.
Hopefully it's good.
Good.
See you.
See you out there.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Is it okay to go out of order?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sure it is.
I'm gonna skip to Magnolia Pier, because that one's the other big one.
Chair is the right.
Do you wanna do the overview on this one as well?
Sure. As everybody knows, we moved Magnolia Pier back out. We did it, 2 weeks ago, Chris. It's already getting used, it's already got dinghies tied to it as of this morning, there are two dinghies tied to it. I know, and I don't know where this came from, to me, it came from the mayor that, Manchester had floated the idea of doing, of supplying two dinghies to be attached to the float in Magnolia for use by the mooring field people. And we wanted to present to you some language, how we would do that. I would suggest doing it on a trial basis. You know, and see how it works. The idea would be, Donna, you had written some language up on it. To put the two dinghies there under lock with a combination, the combination's given out to the mooring holders. They're responsible to supply their own oars when they come down, their own life jackets, their own white light for the dinghy if they're going in and out at night. They take the dinghy out to their boat and then bring the dinghy back to the dock with their boat so that the dinghy is there to use for the next person that comes. And reverse the process when they're putting their boat up for the night. The Manchester Harbor Master sent along some rules that he had in his system when he was up in Maine. I forwarded those to Donna. We just added a couple others to it. Ideas for the board to take up. Like I said, I don't know who the original idea was, but it was yours. Good. I mean, I think it's one way to, otherwise we're gonna end up with 30 dinghies on that dock. You know, and the dock's gonna be useless.
So the part in yellow here is this was May of 22. We voted in the meeting of the Waterways Board to revoke anything being tied up to the pier. No more outhauls, no more tenders tied up to the pier.
Yep.
That's already being broken.
Well, they're not tied to the pier, they're tied to the dock,
Okay,
the
all right.
floating dock.
So this would, what we need to do, and I'm at a loss because I read through this whole thing, this must be ordinance, not regulation. I'm guessing that this change was an ordinance change, not a regulation change. Do you know this by any chance? Huh? No, because I
don't
couldn't
think so.
find this language in the regulations anywhere. But what we would need to do regardless of ordinance or regulations, because if it's ordinance, it has to go to city council. If it's regulation, it goes to public hearing. But I don't know is, this part would just be. I don't know if this part, like we're going to allow this, needs to be in the ordinance or the regulation. That it's just, you know, we are,
Especially if it's a trial basis, I mean.
right,
You know, you could maybe have a vote tonight supporting this and we could run it by legal.
yeah.
Um,
I did talk to Suzanne once today about, you know, what's the liability here? And you know, what she said just off the top of her head was that, you know, Manchester Harbor, they need to take, you know, full responsibility for these dinghies that are sitting on the Magnolia Pier dock.
so maybe maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but.
right, yeah,
There's some legalese that.
Yeah.
that if some kid.
You know, maybe there
somehow
needs to be
gets
an
it.
MOA, I'd
Right,
have to talk to Suzanne, but in order to do that and maybe try this program, we needed the Waterways Board to support it first. So,
it's an idea, I mean, it's been an issue that's been crossing the board for a long time, that people can't get out to their boats. Magnolia does this, I mean, Manchester already has borrower, they're doing the same thing on theirs right now for people to get to their moorings.
Through the same method.
Right.
Do they
Yeah.
have? Do they have some sort of a way to absolve the town from liability of the sinking, drowning, capsizing, any of that stuff, use in poor weather?
I think if we say this is something we support, it's gonna end up on Suzanne Egan's desk and,
Yeah, it has to.
with somehow saying this is what we need to do. People need to sign a release to get the code, and say they'll never share the code, that kind of thing.
Because Brian at Manchester already has community dinghies thing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So I would imagine they also have legalese.
He didn't send you that, did he?
No,
Okay.
like I said, this is new to me, it's just, just mentioned to me when we
So
were putting the float in.
Yeah.
Also, John, in case your phone rings with other dinghies out in the dark. One of the challenges is that the folks in Magnolia and Manchester that have moorings, the only way today that they can get out there is taking, let's say, a pram or dinghy. When my mother was alive, she would go with me often, and one of the arguments I had in front of this board was my 85-year-old mother, if we jumped into a dinghy off the beach, let's say at 9 in the morning, and we returned from a day out there and it was blowing 15 to 18 and there's white caps and the waves are breaking, I have to take my mother in that dinghy into the beach. That the chances of pitch falling are probably 8 out of 10. So that was like the challenge that we had. Well, how do we provide access to the moorings? And then what happened was, I forgot John, the ex-vice president of the Waterways Board, is it Joe?
Joe Crow.
Joe Crow. Joe Crow and I were chatting one day and trying to find a solution. And it was Joe who came up with it. Joe said, we should just have 2 community boats down there. And then somehow or other, I ended up talking to Brian in Manchester, and he said that he does it, and he was all in favor. I don't know, Donna, if you spoke with him, but he was like.
No, John.
So he was like, this is the answer, this is what we need to do.
Yeah, if it could be alive, can I add, since I live there? And I'm totally, I've been in that situation, my wife we wanna take her lab on the boat. And you should see it, it's a dog in a dinghy, it's a joke down on the beach with our friend. So you get wet, it's dangerous, the dog, there's no way to get a dog off the pier onto a boat safely that I know of unless you harness. Now there is, because there's a dock, right? So, but to get to the boat is a challenge from that. And
So
it's
the
breaking my
people that
back.
are down there, is this gonna solve the problem? Is there that
This-
much of a
if it meant
difference
you
going
sign-
from the
if-
dock?
If Bion
than
sends
from
me
the
something
beach?
that says, here's a
Yeah.
combination, but you sign right here that you have, I have to take, absolutely swear not to share this code. And take responsibility if I do share this code and someone uses it and gets hurt, I take responsibility. Whatever legalese
get
they
hurt.
have.
Yeah,
That signature will be
okay,
in a second from me, so obviously you know I'm gonna vote on this. And anybody else that tries to get out to the boat. I know they're Manchester moorings, I get it, and the Gloucester, I get it, it's more of a goodwill kind of thing to work together, right? So.
The last time I spoke with Brian was gonna reach out to his city council.
And I don't know what he has, Bob.
Right.
I wanna know if the dinghies were still available, number one,
Right.
and bring it to you guys, because you guys are way beyond me as far as what you've talked about on this here.
Well, just.
well, does that, so just, I guess our task tonight is to make a motion to move forward with this and pass it through legal and get some language that we can pass on to mooring holders down there, that they are taking responsibility and that they're taking responsibility not to share the lock combinations to these 2 dinghies.
I strongly move.
And what
Well,
about
help-
the private
and help
dinghies
with the
that are tied up
language,
there?
too.
Well, the private dinghies that are tied up there are their problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's against the regulation to tie them up right now. We don't issue.
I think I have
permits
names,
on
I mean, I
that.
have a picture of it, you know, if I was walking with my wife, you know, evening sunset walk with the dog and take a picture, and I know the dinghy, you know, has. the-
I know it too. I asked him to take it off the dock last week.
Oh, really?
Back on
I
today.
didn't know if he left it overnight though, I thought it might be just like shoveling stuff, I didn't know what if he was leaving it overnight, I didn't check.
So
I
if,
guess-
And it's early in
yeah,
the year and they probably think that, you know,
nobody's down there.
All right, make the motion, I'll say.
I strongly
So
make a
Ryan
motion.
can come
It's a
up with
motion to support getting the 2 borrowed dinghies from Manchester and explore liability issues in order to issue.
Waivers, yeah.
Yeah,
wa-
something.
Waiver in combination, confidentiality.
Somebody can say that better than I can tonight, so. Karen, you're good at this.
I was saying, because Brian's gonna be doing
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
if we come up with a
Go
word.
ahead, Brian.
Oh,
Yeah.
the wording? I still
Yeah.
move that we investigate the possibility of utilizing dinghies provided by Manchester by the Sea Harbor Master. And the appropriate disclaimer, paperwork, or agreement.
For the-
Including lock confidentiality. That to be determined, and I lost where I was in my paragraph,
Liability.
and liability. Is that,
Leslie will clean it up.
Good enough.
Yeah,
sorry, Leslie,
I
I
said,
lost.
Any more discussion? Doing the right order today.
no, I like that.
no, you gotta second it, then you gotta
Yeah.
vote.
No, well, don't we discuss before we vote? No,
Vote.
okay, we'll vote. John,
Yep.
Peter,
Which Peter?
yes or
You.
no on the,
Yes, yes. Which
right,
Peter?
Brian?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes. Yes.
just kidding. Maybe myself,
And
yes,
yes.
yes. Motion passes, how many are we?
1,
1, 2,
2,
3,
3,
4, 5, 6.
Donna, you did that out of order. It confused me.
Ha 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 ha. All right, that was way easier. So we'll have to come up with some language around that and explore it. I didn't see the email of the forwarded stuff, so
Right.
I had to leave the office early.
Hey, Don, why don't I be Pete? That's confusing.
Yes, right. Peter.
Okay, Pete, okay. Who's Pete? You're Pete. All right, Pete and Peter. All right.
Which one am I?
You're Peter.
Oh, that's good. All right, that's my name, right?
He's frozen. All right, discussion more late. Okay, so those are the big ones. So we can go back to public facilities report, which will include I4C2. I believe.
All right, so you've all got your minutes from our last meeting. Our last meeting. And our proposal for, within that is our proposal for the power cord that we want to have everyone down there use. And the fact that what they're using down there now is extension cords. Like that they use, that they buy at Home Depot. And they're like 200 extension cords that they wrap around the pedestals several hundred times and mount to their boat. Real nightmare. And they leave out there day and night, several months to years at a time. Well, they're all dry rot here.
But Donna, I researched a 30-amp cord, got recommendation from Lingo Cha, Brent Carr.
And these are
Of what's
proper
appropriate
marine
to
cords.
use down there for a 30-amp cord. Just included a picture so you could see what the 30-amp cord's like. And it's
Yes.
very reasonably priced.
So, are we providing them or are they
No,
buying them?
no, they have to
They
buy
are.
their own,
Okay.
like everybody else.
So it's, boy, how do we do that?
So we wanted to
Make people
recommend
buy
to the-
something?
We have to mandate that within our rules, that every boat down there has to buy their own cord. A proper marine 30-amp cord.
And there was also other wordage. So if you look to the right-hand side of this, it really gives the wordage. And what John had brought up at public facilities is that if they're gonna go from 30 to 15, they can use it only when they're in attendance. They cannot leave it plugged into a 15 from
Right.
30.
If they have work to do on their boat,
That's in the word.
and they need a a power drill or a saw or whatever, that they can step down from a 30 amp cord to a
It's a
15
yeah.
amp cord. For the day or for the time that they're using it. But they have to unplug that cord and just go back to their 30 amp cord.
Makes sense.
And it's right in the wording, Donna, right there on that.
Yeah,
on the
I'm
minutes,
just looking
public
to see if
facility
there,
minutes.
if this is ordinance or regulation.
If not, we got to put it in.
We'll have to put it in.
Yeah,
They vary. I mean, you can get them at West Marine, you can get them
Do you
almost
guys see
anywhere.
any issue with this? Is this a
This-
safety issue?
this is a safety
We
issue.
should
This
be
is-
doing
This
this.
is, yeah,
Okay,
it
all
should
right.
be in your regulations, not an ordinance.
Okay,
It should be in our regulation. It should be in our regulations. In this book.
So that's why we're recommending,
I think
you
it
know,
does
to the
mention
water.
them in the contract with them, I think it was big, if I remember right.
I have all the changes in here.
So Donna, the
All right.
wording of what we have to vote on is right there on the right hand side.
right, so, this is adding a rule, we'll call it a rule for right now.
Yeah,
To the boat owners down there that the lessees that they need to use the appropriate power cord. But we don't exactly know where it goes yet.
yeah, and they're prohibited from using what they're using now. As a power cord.
This should go to both marinas.
Both marinas, St. Peter's and I-40 too.
This is where it is right here. Management, general use and requirements, it is section 7, city-owned commercial marinas, general use and requirements. That's exactly where it goes.
Yep.
So the motion would be to add this language, recommend us all boat owners at city-owned commercial marinas or only 2 city-owned commercial marinas?
We only have 2.
Yeah, the same. too.
All boat owners at city-owned commercial marinas are required to use safe and appropriate 30 amp, 125 volt marine power cord for all vessels.
Mhm.
A splitter from 30 to 15 only allowed when present. And discontinued if vessel is unattended.
Right,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
And that would be added to Article 7, Section 3. Somewhere. Article Section 3.
Okay.
A general use and requirements. At city-owned marinas. This is gonna be what this.
And the other thing that we wanted to say about all of this is that we're just doing this for them. You know, we're doing whatever we can do to
Well,
help
the
them.
next part
Yeah,
is,
to help
the
them.
next part is messaging.
Yeah.
Could do another
We just-
survey, but you
Yeah,
know,
we just do it
the
to
next
help
part
them.
is messaging, so, I'll just try to do that again.
Are you making a motion now?
Yeah, is that okay? Am I allowed to?
you can make a motion, sure.
That is, I'll just try it again, because Leslie can't, she has to come. City on second, the following, what are these little, the following letter will be added to section 7, to Article 7, Section 3. All vessels leasing at city-operated commercial marinas shall use safe and appropriate 30 amp, 125 volt marine power cords.
Yeah.
At all times, unless a splitter is required from 30 to 15 amps, and that may only be used when the boat owner is present and must be discontinued if the vessel is unattended.
Correct.
Right.
Can somebody second that?
Second it.
Sean,
All in favor?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Yes.
Donna, yes.
Yes.
Aaron, yes. 8 in favor, no opposed, the motion passes. Do you have more stuff on I4C?
Uh,
2?
no, just that we had those 2 site visits. And John did meet with Bellingham.
Oh, right, John, you
And-
have the update on sort of some
Yeah.
general repairs down there to get us
Exactly.
through the season?
Yeah, so I mean, I think you could probably get through the season without really doing much of anything. I just spoke with Chris Ryder of Bellingham. He's been a little behind schedule getting us some pricing, but I thought we were actually waiting to find out what our budget was, what we had to work with, before we went back to them with what we were going to look for. But I just asked him, a per finger replacement price, and then probably a lineal foot price on rod and whaler replacement, or just a per on rods. And like I said, I only just reached out.
That's a good way to go, so that we could actually go to the city or apply for a grant with specific numbers. There is some money available, but, if we get the pricing that you're talking about, we might be able to dig up some more.
Okay, all right. As soon as I hear back from them, I'll put in an email out to everybody.
Didn't you talk to our local company too? And
Yeah, so just in conversation, I had a chat with Jeff Amaro at JNL, because he builds floats and ramps and stuff like that. And I've installed his fingers on concrete floats up in Beverly. I didn't think when I installed the ones that I used before that they were for this kind of service. But he's been at this for another 10 years now since I did any of those. And those floats, if he had built them, they'd be probably around $5,000 or $6,000 versus I think 12 for a Bellingham. Whether they'd have the 40-year life of a Bellingham float, we don't know yet. But I wanted to at least give a local contractor the opportunity to at least give us a price on replacing 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Especially since there have been a number of conversations with the boat owners down there, so we should try to keep it moving.
Right.
there's one really needs to be-
For what? One other thing though, when I did that dive, I didn't find any damage, like significant damage to the concrete bottoms of any of the floats. The stuff that I saw that was cracked and missing was just the stuff that was above the waterline that we saw before. So they were in better shape than what I was expecting.
And the pilings look good to you too, correct? At the moment?
That shocked me. I was really expecting some amount of wastage. But those piles were all fine right at the mud line. I didn't see any wastage on any piles. I mean, you have the damage from the chafing, but no rot. I could only assume those piles are newer than the marina.
No idea. All right.
John,
So
they-
we'll-
But, yeah,
that
they weren't penciled out at the mud line like they get.
Also, what we want to do is thanks to Dave Williams too, which you guys know Dave. At the end of your thing is a maintenance report of everything he does at that marina.
Right.
To your point, John, Bob Ellis, the one finger pair that's in disarray, ironically, there that Dave Williams is on. And it actually looks dangerous.
That's one.
And I was wondering, is that something?
It does have quite a twist to it, yes.
It does. I don't know how he navigates, but
He jumps.
he jumps. I mean, is that something that we can repair sooner than later? That's that one finger pair that's like.
That's the one at the end.
So
John,
what Ryder had said to me was 90% of what's causing that is the fact that the through bolts are all loose and that it's able to just twist like that. But tightening them up once it's gotten twisted that badly generally won't fix it. I think he said to us at the time that replacement of one of those was around 12 grand. And nowadays they don't build those. They won't build that in like a 4 cube unit. It would be a monolithic one long finger, so it would never twist again.
I think he said it was around 10 grand to buy the finger and about 2,500 to install it.
Yeah, the 12,000.
Yeah.
And he had also said that obviously that Bellingham can send up its own crew to do through rods and Whaler. Which would be great because if they do it all the time, they know all the tricks. I've worked on those before and they're miserable to deal with if you don't know in advance what it's gonna be like.
I didn't mean to step on, I just.
No,
I knew you were talking about Dave
I just
Williams.
wanted everybody to know what he does down there.
Yeah.
You know, and the harbor master's off doing the roads.
Right. John, if you can poke them a little bit about some pricing, that would be great.
Yes, yeah, like I said, I actually called him again today. And he said he'd get something right out to me.
Great.
That's good.
No, thanks for everything on that. I mean, I think it goes a long way that, you know, that people are down there looking at everything. And I mean, not that the harbor master's office doesn't, but maybe we can dig up some dough.
But I think part of the reason why it's better down there than we thought it was is because we really learned after spending many hours, John too, and all of us, with Dave Williams, that he really does do a lot of stuff around there. So it has made a big difference. you
Right.
know?
I think that's the way he looks at it. He
Yeah.
wants to keep it going. I
Yeah.
mean, they.
And the harbor
that's-
master's office too, you know, Chris has
Yeah, they
done
do it. ton of
rods
work,
down
yeah.
there too. And that saves a lot of money when those guys put the rods.
And I
in.
think before the winter storms start coming rolling through again with the high tides, we really ought to figure out a way to disconnect that ramp when the storm's coming. That's what popped the ramp out last time was the two high tides. You know what I mean, John?
Yeah, is it, can that crane just be swung around to lift and pick the ramp?
The trouble is that the bolts that hold that plate on would have to keep coming in and out every time.
You'd have to
Yeah.
just change the hardware so that it was something that was, you know.
Top of the ramp to make it like the harbor master's float that we have here. And that might be something we could get Jeff Amiro to give us a cost on.
Yep, Jeff or Roses, I mean, there's anybody like that, but yes.
Contractor, but I mean, Jeff, it was brought up earlier, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yep.
All right, we'll keep going on that then. Thanks.
So does hardware include bolts and?
Do you have anything else on I-4?
does
No, I think
hardware
that's it.
include
Okay.
bolts
That's it
and the
for us.
plate?
All right.
Okay.
On any?
Yeah,
Is that what that
it's the
means, the whole
connecting
thing?
mechanism really.
Okay.
to
Karen, is
the-
there anything else, Bobby?
No, as long as everybody has
No,
the
it's
ma-
great.
they have the maintenance list that Dave did with me and did with John.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
So that-
interesting to find out how much work he does down there.
It was nice, John, Bellingham said that and you were there, Bob, that he was surprised how well
Yeah, I was too. I mean,
I was
I
too,
expected
yeah.
it to be, I mean, judging by the report that we got from
Mm,
EGM, I thought,
yeah,
oh my God,
yeah.
we're gonna go down there and we're gonna see
Yeah.
it falling apart.
he said it was impressive how they've held up.
Yeah.
the amount
But
of years they've been there.
except for the pests.
And we talked about that. That's something that you're gonna have to identify.
And the
Money in the
lobster
budget.
pots are gone from the pier.
They're all gone.
As of today, I don't see one single.
They're all gone from the pier. I'm still working on the parking
They're
lot.
still working up, they're still a problem.
So, yeah, this is part of your, and we will take this up. I mean, the seasons,
Yeah, this is
is
part of
really a
public
very
facilities,
strict set of
yeah.
rules around who can put their lobster traps down there, how long they can be there, and, the rules around keeping the place up. The same thing on at St. Peter's is just making sure that that there are rules and that people are following the rules about storing traps down there. Next meeting.
Next meeting.
I forgot to put that one on here. Yeah, we don't have a finance report because I don't believe that committee met. But it is gonna be a tight budget this year and for a few years to come. John did a great job with finance at the city, getting the budget balanced. I know you guys voted on it the last time, but it's gonna be tight, so.
Just have to make some more money.
Yeah, somehow, right? Somehow.
Any surprises?
A few. Probably not that we wanna.
Speak to now.
Right.
Okay.
The budget is filed. City council hasn't voted on it yet, but O and A, is that their
No, BNF has
BNF.
already approved it.
BNF already approved it, so it's public now, so anybody that wants to see the, the next fiscal year budget, so 24-25, it's approved, so, I mean, John has a copy.
I have it. Anybody that wants to come in and see me, walk it through what.
He did a
changes
ton
we
of
made.
work on it, so. Yes, surprises, yes. This one is Leslie's, the mooring list, the mooring wait list. So what happens at this time of year and in general, and I was talking with Suzanne about this, that it must have been a rumor that you wait the whole 14 days. So when somebody comes up on the mooring list, they're at the top of the list. Harbor Master's office notifies them that there's a mooring for them and they have 14 days to respond. And what Leslie said to me is everyone waits the whole 14 days for some reason, and it's slowing everything down in there. And what the Harbor Master's office, Leslie, would like to see is that we back that off from 14 to 7 days or just less time. I mean, what she told me a story, one guy came in and said, he came in earlier than the 14 days. And he said, my wife told me to wait the whole 14 days. And she's like, why? So it's clogging things up in there. Like your name's at the top of this. You've been waiting 2 decades for a mooring.
Yes.
Do you need to decide?
If you want to take it, if not, right,
Right.
move on.
So this is something that's gonna have to go to public hearing because it's a change in it's Article 4, Section 3. The current language says said person shall have 14 days to respond to the harbor masters to determine if their vessel is suitable for the available space. So that language change would be said,
I think it's so that if you don't have a boat, you have 14 days to get a boat.
well,
Because you've been waiting 20 years doesn't mean you already have a boat.
it's true, but are you gonna be able to get a boat in 7 days or 14 days?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's gonna be that big of a
True.
No,
difference?
our lists are published and you know when you're,
I mean, like.
you know when you're getting to the
I'm
top.
16 on
true.
this and I'm just like, God, drooling, so
We're just trying to,
move it
Expedite
along to get,
the
because the next
process.
person on the list
I
knows
get
they're
it.
next on
I
the
get
list and they, so. The harbor master's office is all in favor of this. I mean, the other thing, people have a whole year before they have to use their mooring.
right, they have to pay for it and then they have a year to use it.
That's getting their boat, right? So this change in language would be said person shall have 7 days to respond to the harbor master. Everything else stays the same. It's cutting from 14 to 7.
And this is in our regulation, so.
This isn't ours. It has to go to public hearing.
Yeah.
I talked to Suzanne about it. It's like taking something away, so it goes all the way to public hearing, but we should at least get this started for the next round, because she's all bogged down in there, so. Anybody have anything on that? Everybody good with that?
No, it's
All
fine.
right, so this is a motion to change the language under mooring art regulation, Article 4, Section 3, to said person shall have 7 days to respond to the harbor master.
Yeah.
To determine if their vessel is suitable for the available space.
Well, I so moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. John,
Yes, that's fine.
Peter?
Yep.
Brian,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Donna, yes, Karen?
Yes.
Yes, 8 in favor, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 8 in favor, none opposed, motion passes.
This-
Oh, sorry. Anybody want to discuss
I
this?
do, so
Okay,
does,
sorry. Rescind,
does
we have
it-
to vote again, right?
no.
No.
Do we?
Okay.
No.
So
Unless we,
the person says yes,
Yep,
do they have to give us the actual boat? It's a 22-foot Robalo, center console?
yep.
yeah,
I don't,
No.
they have a year,
What
they have a year to put a vote on
put a
it.
vote on.
Yeah.
It's the size,
size of the
size of the
boat
mooring, it's the
Yeah.
size
It
of the mooring,
determines
yeah.
the more,
Right,
so if
so you have a
they,
year to buy it,
if
go get it, go, no,
they're willing to take,
go to your banker.
if they're put in for a 30-foot spot, we still offer them a 20-foot spot if it comes up, if they're first. They have the option to say, yes, I'll take the
Yeah.
20-foot spot, or no, I'm gonna wait for a 30-foot spot. And that's what they're taking 2 weeks to do. I mean, you should know whether you want that spot or not, And 7 days is, I think, more than adequate to move the system along.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, motion passes. We don't have to vote again, right?
No.
Yeah, good. Discussion, anyway, report, discussion items not reasonably anticipated by the chairperson in accordance with blah, blah, blah.
Can it be anything?
It can be anything.
I think they had a petition too, didn't they?
Yeah, I'll just figure that, let somebody else go here.
Okay.
The drone use coming through the Blinding Bridge, does anybody have any idea about that? It came like 12 inches from my head going through the bridge, 12 inches from my daughter's head. On the bow of our
drone?
boat. A drone.
Strong.
I don't know whose drone it is, but it's pretty dangerous.
Is that an individual or is that a
It's
company?
like here,
Individual.
we're standing
That's
on the
really
bow,
rude.
it's like here,
It is rude.
yeah. And
Do you
it's,
have a
it's
gun?
not the first time,
I
it's the
think they're
second time.
regulated by FAA. Somewhat.
They are regulated by FAA.
This past weekend
are.
was really dangerous with that.
I would think I would recommend anybody that's happening to
Yeah,
report it to the
me
FAA.
twice.
That's what, if they call it here, just like if it's something criminal, we'd refer them to police. I mean, if we can obviously let our patrols know that
Yeah.
to keep an eye
Do
on
you all
that.
know, Robert?
Can you
No,
say?
I'm-
I think it's,
I
I
think
doubt that it's,
limited-
his stuff is all really high altitude.
Oh, yeah.
The FAA.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess this is probably
Oh,
your
yeah, they
kid.
post all the videos, no.
Yeah.
No, he
Yes.
knows, the rules. He knows the rules.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess this was probably a
It's
kid on the
become-
boulevard.
It's become super dangerous for a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
I would say the local police and will get a number for the FAA, so. It's hard to know.
Sorry, the FAA is height regulated, I'm pretty sure. I have a pilot's license, so I may know that.
I'd be Robert, who knows, but.
Would
He
you mind
knows-
if he
he knows
posted a
the
good
rules.
video?
He
Yes, I
really
know.
knows. All right,
But he is an odd guy.
I don't mind if it's a nice video, but you know what it.
did you have your
Your
picture?
good side.
Yeah.
Get your good side.
Just like hit your good side.
Yeah.
Okay,
At the public facilities meeting, we asked John, I'm putting you on the spot for a minute. We asked John, having been the chief of police across the street and now temporarily being acting harbor master, is there anything we asked from his previous experience as chief of police and his present experience as harbor master that prior to him leaving, he's looking out into the future and seeing some concerns or challenges that the harbor master's office will face that he may want to share with us. And what he brought up is that if you want to go talk about the grants and having someone, because money is a huge issue. And you went on to tell us how in the past they hired, I'll hand it over.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
you.
there
I know
are-
where I'm coming from.
I really think, looking at the big picture, especially where you've taken on these two marinas and the extent they need, each. With the budget and the revenues that the department is collecting and having to be a self-sufficient entity, you're gonna more and more be looking for public money, grant money, infrastructure money for the two marinas that you have. There's gonna be some big money tickets.
Mhm.
And you may look into, and like I said to the committee, I mean, I know Jill is wonderful on grants. That's what she's done her whole career. She's also the CAO right now, so you may want to look at the enterprise fund as saying, well, can we bring someone in? You know, especially when you're looking at your manpower and your top structure as you go. So it's just something that they asked me about in facilities, and that would be my saying is look towards the future as far as what capital outlays you're gonna have.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to share with the committee, is that you gave an example. You said there was a situation where you actually hired someone, I don't know the right nomenclature, it was $20,000 and they brought in 300.
that's what a grant writer does. I
Right.
mean, that's how they That's how they,
That's what they
you know,
do, right?
that's what they get
No, no,
paid
no,
for, is to bring in more money than they're getting paid. But it is an option as a Waterways Board that we could designate some of our funds to a specific grant writer specifically for our projects. That everybody in the city's, you know, competing for the money from the state for projects all over the city. But I mean, certainly there's, you know, the grant writers know where to find the money. It's something we could look at, that we designate, you know, 1 year, a certain amount of money for specific projects. To get some money.
And like I said, we all know that if the administration would have to, you know, we answer to the administration.
Yeah.
So, but that was a source of revenue when you were looking for the new well. You
Is
know,
that something we'd be interested in entertaining?
Yeah, no, I
I don't
think
know
we
what the
can.
next steps would be.
Or might we be able to find a volunteer to help out?
True.
what I've found is a lot of these grant writers are very specific, they know exactly
Yeah.
what
They do.
to hit. You know, this one that you guys brought in, I don't know who paid for the grant writer, but I mean, they got the safe board, they got 75% of the money. You know, that was brought in by, I think it was Frank Cousins at the time.
Are they niche also? Are they
Yeah.
specific toward a particular?
I worked with
Industry?
one that in the
Yeah.
private school industry, just getting grants for private schools.
That's
you
what I
know.
was thinking.
Yeah,
'cause I know a
Very
couple
niche, yep.
in schools.
I got a huge grant for the cultural center on Rocky Mountain.
Yeah.
With that same code, so.
Hopefully one more.
The Harbor Master Search Committee.
Yep.
Is there, you know, say,
Are we- are we-
Interviews are starting on the 11th.
now, if at the end of reviewing all the resumes, if you feel that there's no one that really qualifies.
Yeah.
Is there, what would be the next step?
It would be reposted.
And then-
Am I allowed to say that there are qualified candidates?
No, I wouldn't go into it
Yeah.
because the committee hasn't even
Yeah,
interviewed yet or met for that.
I just wanna say.
there are more than 10. There are more than 10 people that applied.
But that I'm not really concerned with, I'm just talking about the quality.
Right.
I just, as having a seat that represents recreational boating. Personally, I see that, what, you know, be specific, what TJ and Chad did, they turned this harbor around in 8 years. But they realized that recreational boating is the future of Gloucester Harbor. So when we're looking at a potential harbor master, I think we need to respect commercial, but the future is recreation.
Donna, should we take this into executive session?
Maybe.
And I
That's
feel
all.
the recreational school.
One last thing, I wanna apologize.
No, we only had.
No, Greg
No, get to-
Berger called me, I wanna apologize. The last meeting, I said I was upset with not having a couple people on the committee, on the Harbor Masters Search Committee, that I wasn't familiar with, and I felt strongly weren't waterfront characters, or know the waterfront well. Well, Greg called me, he wasn't upset, we had a nice conversation. He was saying that when you hire bring in a harbor master, that the harbor master also has to have people skills, public, speech,
Management skills.
management skills, all
Finance
these things,
skills.
finance, all these things that.
HR skills.
HR skills, they'll be working with Jill and with the mayor, et cetera, et cetera. So those people need to be part of the selection committee. And I said to Greg that I would apologize to the committee. And I apologize.
You know.
Accepted.
The last thing on
Second.
the last thing on the not reasonably expect is, one of the tenants down at St. Peter's handed me this, and it is a petition to get water down there for the boats.
That's not an easy task either.
Well, John had an idea about maybe it could
I
come.
think St. Peter's
from-
would be easier than I foresee too.
Right.
Because for one thing, you have the
Because of water,
restaurant
yeah.
that's in the DPA that, they, you know, I was gonna have Chris look into, if the board wanted me to, look into the availability cost, because I would think that would have to be picked up, you know, how it could be locked up so that only the boaters could use it, that type of thing, and it would just be a temporary summer line. I really think that, you know, in this day and age with new outboards, you wanna flush your outboard when you come in,
Yeah,
that type of thing.
absolutely.
It wouldn't be a bad thing to have there if it if the tenants wanted it and wanted to assume the cost of it.
That was one of the questions I asked when we were down there that day in that site visit. Was why isn't there water down there? But water down in I-4C2, where would it come from?
I don't know where, I think that would be a lot more difficult, I-4C2.
Yeah, St.
I-4C2,
Peter's would be relatively easy.
I-4C2 is a lot of bigger boats, so most of them are keel cooled and they don't require flushing, we're showing up with outboards at St.
Just
Peter's.
for wash down.
Yeah, if you look at the boats,
They don't, right, they don't
They
put
don't
any
look
wash
like they
down.
wash.
no, they wash down with salt water. I mean, they're,
They're using their own deck hoses.
yeah. That's the way we used to do it, remember?
Right.
Somebody,
But I mean, if you wanted us to look into it, we can look
So
into
we're
it.
Right.
looking into like a hose type system?
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean, just a
summer, something?
temporary water that they
Yeah.
can use, they'd have to supply their own
Yeah, that only
hoses and
seems fair.
just, I mean, a spigot really.
because somebody said, and you may know, that there's water in one of the manhole covers in St. Peter's in the parking lot.
Yeah, there's water
Yeah.
supply down.
There's
at St.
water
Peter's,
supply down
easy.
there. Oh, right, because of Fiesta.
Right,
Right. of
down
course.
there it's easier.
They run
So-
that off.
I-4C2, not
Fiesta
so
run
easy.
off the fire hydrant.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, so the other idea is the restaurant, that they have water there and,
Right.
it's a matter of figuring out how the owners pay for it and how they access it. So tonight it would be just charging John with looking into it.
Yeah,
We'd be glad to look into the feasibility of it and
Yeah.
the cost.
Do we have to vote on that? Can we just tell them to do
we could
You're
just.
probably just
we
referring
can
it to
recommend-
us.
it? We're
we can just-
referring it to the
yeah,
harbor
we can
master's
recommend.
office.
Right, you
Okay.
can vote to refer, but that's,
So what we have to do, talk to the owner of Oak Number.
Yeah,
What would you do?
we'll talk to them. I mean, they're in the
He's a
DPA and
good- he's a good
they've
guy.
been very
Yeah.
good with the lobstermen. They've worked deals that a lot of lobster traps were stored on his property.
And you couldn't
So-
see out his windows. So-
He made
Well,
deals
they
with them
knew
that they
that,
could.
they knew that, yeah.
Yeah,
Some
I mean,
people actually like that.
they seem to be
Traps are-
willing to
yeah.
work.
He's
Yeah.
a, he's a good guy.
We can ask a question.
Yeah.
We can ask Mike Hale. We can ask, what. just-
There was an article in the Gloucester Daily Times a couple months ago about a woman railing on about those traps.
Oh, yeah,
Right
there was
there.
in the,
Oh, my God.
is it
I
a
know.
walkway or is it yeah.
well.
Well, the one thing is the traps in both places definitely, do some damage, so, it's with trying to figure out how to repair the walkway down there in front of the restaurant and, so it's an issue. So I think it has to sort of start with the, making sure that we have a clear set of rules around the trap storage and then work from there on fixing everything else.
We've been weaning down at I-4C2. I mean, it's probably
It's a big difference.
80%
Yeah.
cleared out. And what we're finding is a lot of the stuff that's there now is not in the best of condition. And what we'll find, I'm sure, is they'll be cutting their tags out of so we can't identify it and then it'll become
Go
abandoned
take
properties.
pictures right now.
Right,
We've been down there, Chris has been down there with the crew, we've been down there trying to identify it. And
Okay,
There's been lots of guys working down there too.
We've got, most of the guys have been
Yeah,
cooperative, they
they
really have, the freezer's off the dock.
I saw that.
Um,
It's a lot bigger
they've
down
been
there
cleaning
now.
the docks up too, there's not as much stuff on the docks, so.
Did you get any bait?
I didn't get any bait, no, I don't need any bait.
I think this meeting accomplished a lot.
does
Thank you.
anybody
Thank you,
have
everybody.
anything else on discussion items not reasonably anticipated by moi? Anything? You have an idea?
Well, if I have another chance, I have 3 quick questions. Are all the moorings in Magnolia, Kettle Cove Harbor, they're all controlled by Manchester, by the city?
Correct.
That's their watershed, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are any of those issued lost to residents?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, we got the percentage
most of them.
of lost to residents.
I don't know,
I
I'd
don't know
have to
that.
ask,
I don't know
I
about that.
think that's an issue, right?
I saw a lot of people on the list from all over.
I'd have to
well,
ask.
he's one of them.
But I'm from.
He's a
And the other question I have is, having lived
You
in
had your three.
Magnolia. Was that?
You had your 3.
I
No,
said
this
3
is the
questions.
third one.
I said 3, I got a count, John. I went to the shop, I know this.
I counted 3.
Did you expect any feedback on parking in the area
Which area?
over by the pier? You know, the
Oh.
pier and that whole thing?
There is no parking over
There
there.
isn't
That's
any.
what I'm saying to you, when I lived over there, every time we went down the surf, anybody that lived in that area was moaning and groaning that there's not parking at the surf, parking to get up to the pier, etc. So
So.
I think you're gonna get some people.
Well, the people are gonna use their boats one way or the other.
Yeah, but
And you gotta remember, the old pier had an alcohol of 20 alcohols.
Yeah, that's, I agree. So now,
There is some discussion with the Manchester Harbor Master about taking over that mooring field.
Oh, good, give it to them.
No, us
Well,
taking,
that's income, so.
That's because there's a lot of income.
so we can, yeah, we can.
Probably
take that
also a
up
lot
in
of
the next
work.
meeting. Yeah, well, so Manchester's $15 a foot for mooring. We're $8.
We would have to have an nest.
Anything else?
No, I'd say that was a good meeting.
Peter, you've been very noisy tonight.
Just check.
Does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Peter,
Yes.
on,
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Pete,
yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Donna, yes, Karen?
Yes,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
thank you, good meeting.
Well, you're so much. You're so.